So to introduce myself, afternoon, everyone. My name is Jacques Flores, and I'm a research data management consultant for the university. A word that's been thrown around earlier today is data steward. Well, that's essentially the same thing. And my role is really to help out researchers across all faculties with any issues regarding their data. Now, this could be data storage, this could be data analysis, or privacy of data, or IT solutions that you may need in order to make your data openly available in the spirit of open science, and so on. So making it available in a repository and whatnot. Now, you can always contact us at info@uu.nl if you need help with anything. But what I want to talk about today is particularly the data management plan. That has also been brought up. ZonMV, NWO, basically all main European funders will request you to fill out a data management plan prior to starting your project. And I'm here, first of all, to tell you that you're not alone in filling these out. So that if you are having issues, you're more than welcome to contact us, and we can either go through it one-on-one, question by question if you find it somewhat difficult because of the scope of your project, or also I know at least on Bay and NWO will actually request you to have your data management reviewed by a data steward. Then of course it'll end up with us, and we can just leave some comments and let you know, hey, it's up to standards, or maybe you should focus on these things. What I want to do in the short time that I have right now is show you one of the tools that we use for filling out data management plans, and also to let you know what a data management plan is and why it's actually quite important when you're doing animal research. So I don't know how many of you have already used DMP Online, but it is a platform that is available to all Utrecht University. And actually it's open source, so anybody can actually use it, but we have our own installation, which allows us to have some more details on it. So I'm going to share another screen now, which is actually the DMP Online website. So you can always log in with your Solis ID. So you just use institutional credentials, and you're welcome to join. You will link your accounts, and then you'll get something that looks like this, your dashboard, and a tab that says Create Plans. And in here, you can really just put the name of your research project. It'll always have Utrecht University already filled out. If not, if you're from another organization, you fill it in, and oftentimes it'll have a template from there. And if you want to use your template from the funder, you can also type the funder in here, and it'll usually show up. Now, when it comes to NWO and ZonMV, you can also use the institutional template for this. They basically have very similar questions, so just arranged a little bit differently. But if you do choose to use the UU template, you'll often have also the some guidance about it. I'm going to put no funder for now, so we can work on the UU template. And this is essentially what a data management plan is in its online format. The gist of it comes when you go to write plan. Now in project details, this is very generic information that I think all of you can easily fill out. You can always add contributors to this. And then you can go to plan overview, which tells you a little bit what the plan is all about. But in write plan is where the meat of it is, right? And this is essentially what a data management plan is. It's just a series of questions that help you understand exactly what is your data all about, and also your plans for this data. Now, this is quite important if you're starting as a PhD student and you're starting with a project. This really allows you to understand, well, what exactly am I working with, and how do I plan to organize this data as I go through my project? The first few sections are on data collection, and probably when you start, this is some of the most important ones, is understanding what your data is about. Now, not just is it reuse existing data, but putting your data in a table that helps you know, okay, especially when it comes to animal research, you may have the data being recorded in different machinery at different points and in different formats. And it's not always entirely clear when you start exactly all the different ways in which this data is, although this can be quite useful for you as you move alongside your research, right? So if you're having your data being recorded automatically, is it a video, is it an audio? How are these recorded? Where are these stored? You'll notice sometimes when you have a PhD student leave after they've done their PhD, sometimes it is hard to find their data once again, or understand exactly how they went about the structure in this data. Well, a data management plan is something that you should always have in hand for each project that they've done and that you've done, so that it's easy to find these things and understand, okay, well, he put this in this particular format, or maybe there was an interview, there was also a transcript of it. I mean, you don't interview animals, but definitely when it comes to behavioral data, it may start as a CSV, and then it may be converted to something else, or it may start as a video, and then from this you will make certain annotations. This will be converted into a tabular format, so like a CSV, and so on. And understanding where this data is and how this process went about is really important for your research integrity, your research reproducibility, and thereafter, if you plan to make this data available and reusable by others, this is adamant to being able to do so. Now, of course, I don't think I have the time to go over every single section in here. And of course, some are a little bit less relevant when it comes to animal research. I mean, data privacy, if you're working with animals from farmers, then the data of the farmers becomes the privacy. But in general, animals do not have privacy rights. But when it comes to documentation, this is something that is often quite difficult to answer sometimes. For one is understanding the difference between documentation and metadata, because funders themselves sometimes mix up what they mean by this. Now, what we mean by documentation is just any information that is necessary to understand what your research is about and your data. And with metadata, well, a lot of the documentation is information that is metadata. Metadata is any information that is about your data. In animal research, there's not many metadata standards, let's put it that way. I mean, there are some, for example, the species names is a metadata standard. And this is a word that gets thrown out quite often by funders is, are you going to be using metadata standards? But in the general sense of it, oftentimes it's more important in this section as a researcher to specify how you're going to make your data understandable by others, right? And that's really what you want to put here, through what documentation and what this documentation will contain. This could be code books or ways to understand your analysis scripts. And you don't have to go into so much detail about it, but just informing them, the funders, in your data management plan that you plan to have these things recorded and that you will put this next to the data is already a great step forward. Let me go back. Last but not least, it comes to data selection, preservation, and sharing. And here often it's where you're going to put, okay, exactly what data are you going to archive and which data are you planning to publish? Now, the difference between archiving is all the data that we're going to keep mostly for integrity. So let's say for all you research, we have to keep this data for years if it underlies a publication. Now, where do we plan to store all of this data? You'll find that usually we may store some of the data, like the process information, but not maybe all of the raw data. Or maybe the raw data is spread across different sections in different machines that we have for recording the animals and whatnot. Well, here we want to make sure that you do have a plan about this. And then we talk about the publication, which is which repository are you going to use to make this data available to others? And are you going to give it a persistent identifier through this repository that would allow anyone to be able to find this data by using database search engines, and then after also access this data and be able to make their own publications as a result of this? I don't know, are you going to put a license to restrict what they can or cannot do, or how they're able to do it? Well, these are all the things that if you're not certain about, we are able to help you here at, at RDM support, which is centered at the library. In the gist, that's the essence of a data management plan. There's obviously a few more things on it that I do not have the time to go into. So with that, I will just go back to my other presentation to let you know once again that making your data findable, accessible, and making it reusable to others is not always something that is going to be there as soon as you finish a project. But having a data management plan maybe helps you do this as you're doing the project rather than doing it at the very end, which can take a lot more time. And you're not alone in doing this. So if you do need help, if you want to know how to do this, if you want us to present or talk with your research group on how we can make this better, how can we think about the way that the workflow of the data is within your particular research group because of the nature of your experiments, we're more than happy to do this and help you out. So don't hesitate to contact us, info@rdm@uju.nl, or check out our website if you have any questions. If you have any questions right now, feel free to put them in the chat. Happy to answer them. So thanks, guys, for your attention.